I think it's illegal. It's an illegal war. Congress was never consulted. And he did that, obviously he did that on purpose. He rushed us to war because he knew that the answer from Congress would most likely be no.
That the world is watching, that, sometimes, it comes to a point where the only way to resist is to bear witness.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to the Struggle Video News. 2 videos about Iran on the day the Trump-Netanyahu attack started. Iranian domestic news agencies have released images reporting an explosion at a school in the city of Manab near Bandar Abbas. It's a girls' school, not near anything military. We don't know whether U.S. or Israeli planes or drones committed the massacre. Over 100 dead. In this video that may upset many, there are Iranians dancing and rejoicing upon hearing news that Khomeini was killed. This one took place in Fars province, celebrating after the news of Khomeini's death. Outside the home of Puya Jafari, a 15-year-old teenager who was killed on January 8th after being shot by regime forces. It wasn't the only celebration. Some were in Tehran. Both things are true, and we have to make sense of it. In the meantime, stop the illegal and unconstitutional war against Iran. So what are your thoughts about Trump's war on Iran?
First of all, I think it's illegal. It's an illegal war. Congress was never consulted. And he did that, obviously he did that on purpose. He rushed us to war because he knew that the answer from Congress would most likely be no. And if it was a no, these people would have been held to account and would have been primaried. So obviously this is all coordinated.
What do you think about the legality of this under international law?
Obviously, it's illegal under American law. It's illegal under UN law. The United States was never under threat. We never threatened in any way. In fact, it was the opposite. We threatened Iran at all times, at all points.
But Trump says there's an imminent danger.
Yes, that is a lie. There was no danger. If any danger to American soldiers is because we have 800 bases throughout the world that are not necessary for the safety and protection of the United States. If I were running for Congress, if I had any say, that would be one of the first things we do is cut the number of bases in half and bring that money back home to the United States for all of our needs and infrastructure for the poor and all the other things that are needed.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So I understand you're a student?
I am a college student, yes.
And why did you come out to this protest of the Iran war?
I mean, obviously, first and foremost, morally, I think war is reprehensible. Morally, I think America's actions overseas are reprehensible, and I think imperialism is disgusting, so obviously I'd be out here anyway. But also as a college student, I feel it's important for us especially to be out. Student power is not new. Student power has helped lead some of the great moments of resistance in history across the world. And students need to be coming out and fighting back.
Heavy snow on the 22nd and parking bans in Hartford kept us away from the rally for Ukraine. We made a statement at the Danbury Unitarian Universalist Congregation, and then this video.
Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася, чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми твою червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну гей-гей розвеселимо, а ми твою стрілецькую славу збережемо, а нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо, а ми твою стрілецькую славу збережемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо.
The singing came from this 2023 video from the esteemed group led by donkeys.
Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася, чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми твою червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо, а ми твою стрілецькую славу збережемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо, а ми твою стрілецькую славу збережемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо.
In our next segment, we'll show an anti-ICE demonstration, this one in Brewster, New York. So what brings you out to this protest today?
I am out here because ICE has been terrorizing our neighborhood here in Brewster, kidnapping our community members and our neighbors, hardworking, and enough is enough. They need to leave us alone, leave Brewster, leave Putnam County as a whole. Our families need to feel protected and safe.
I understand you come out 6 in the morning. What do you do there?
We patrol the area. We just try to make sure the area is okay for people coming out to work, make sure the kids are getting on the bus safely for school, making sure the parents are, you know, they know we're out here taking care of them and making sure no one else is getting kidnapped.
And does it affect ICE? Do they respect you? Or?
They do not respect us. I don't know how effective it is, but no ICE agent to me is a respectful agent. They've shown who they are, so I would say they're not respectful at all.
And your message is to get them out of New York, just New York?
Out of the whole country, completely abolish ICE. We don't need them. We don't. We're fine. I am not afraid of my immigrant neighbors at all. I am afraid of the people in the White House.
Thank you.
You up?
Abolish ICE! ¡Chinga la migra!
So you have some signs with a lot of details on it. Can you talk a bit about it?
Sure. Yeah. I'm a school teacher, so I write too much, I guess. But this sign here was inspired by a poem by a Holocaust survivor, I believe. I forget the name of the gentleman who wrote the poem, but the poem was basically like, you know, first they came for the gypsies, and then they came for the communists, and then they came for the LGBT, and then they came for the Jews, and then they came for me, and there was no one to protect me. So, you know, inspired by that, you know, when ICE was granted its new mandate under this administration, you know, they said they were going to come for the worst of the worst, but then they just started rounding up tons of people with no criminal record. According to the Cato Institute, according to the conservative Cato Institute, 73% of people detained have no conviction. Then they're rounding up children, non-white U.S. citizens first, and then U.S. citizens in their homes and their vehicles, bystanders, and then even they've mistakenly detained some state law enforcement. So it's gotten completely out of hand. And, you know, I know that, you know, some folks will push back and say, well, ICE existed under Obama or under other Democratic administrations. Yes, absolutely, I'm aware of that. What we're talking about here today are some of the most egregious, excessive violations of U.S. law and just basic human dignity. That's what I am standing out against, because I believe it's something that should unite a lot of people across party lines. This one here was from, I made this one today, and it's from some recent statistics from from Reuters. This was a headline from Reuters today. Courts across the United States have ruled that in over 4,400 cases, people were unlawfully detained. The ICE budget stands at over $75 billion. There have been over 32 people killed. That was last year. This is the statistic from the Cato Institute that I mentioned. 13 people have been shot since September, and 2 U.S. citizens have been killed, which is, you know, that's been a turning point for a lot of people. But even before Renee Good and Alex Preddy were shot dead and dubbed domestic terrorists by this administration, the ICE, the agency was already well outside of their mandate, in my opinion. So that's why I'm here today.
Would you like to give your name?
Sure. My name is Nick Banis, and I live in Connecticut, but I'm here today in Brewster, New York, because all of our communities in this area are affected, and I want people to see. I want people to see us out here, you know, standing together, united against this government.
And this fine sign seen online. Now the final section of my interview with 3 who went with the Catholic workers on a visit to the West Bank. We have been talking about how Israel used to claim the needs of archaeology as they stole Palestinian land. Now the visitors explain they don't even feel a need to make excuses.
Now they've kind of shed that, that mask, and they don't really even, they've manipulated the laws to such an extent that not only are people, they're having their homes demolished legally, but if you challenge it legally, as was explained to us, and you lose, which you do always, 99.9% of the time, Palestinian never wins these disputes in court. If you lose, then you have to pay for your own home demolition and for the legal fees of the state of Israel. And so I
remember seeing pictures of people demolishing their own home because if the government does it, it's 50 or 100% more.
Exactly. And so and as we were, again, I was there in 2009. Incidentally, I went back, when I went back in 24, we ended up at the same property of a man who we had been with in 2009. Fakhri was his name, who at that point in '09, they were 2 weeks from demolishing his home. And I remember sitting on his sofa and watching him cry and explain it to us, how his whole extended family was going to lose this home. Well, we went back in 24. We ended up coincidentally going to that same property, and he had rebuilt the house. They rebuilt, and now they had just been demolished again when we came back this time. Okay. Anyway, the reason I bring up this experience is that these demolitions, there's been over 100 of them. 104, I think, was the number when we were there since October 7th. They used that as a pretext to really accelerate these demolitions. But there's a local artist collective called Palestine, Free Palestine or something. And what they have done is, again, this is like it's kind of in a bowl, this neighborhood with the hills going up. And on the upper homes, they got the idea to, on the front walls of all the homes on the upper rim of this neighborhood, they've painted eyeballs. Okay. They've actually taken the eyes from human rights defenders, photos of them from history, and like Martin Luther King, etc. Just famous human rights defenders globally, and they've painted their eyes on these homes as a way of saying the world is watching. And then the last home that they that they painted the eyes of the healed blind man from the gospel story as a way of saying the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob is also watching. And so a lot of this stuff, and the resistance, as Omar, our delegation leader, explained to us, that Palestinians resist in a couple of simple ways. Most resist simply by staying alive. To be alive and to be Palestinian is an act of resistance. As they say, the famous Jewish writer said, the only moral thing that a Palestinian can do, according to Israel, the only moral thing they can do is die. Okay. Anyway, this is a way of saying that that the world is watching. That sometimes it comes to a point where the only way to resist is to bear witness, and I think that's in many ways that's where the Palestinian people are right now, and that's I don't know how they have the courage to continue to stand their ground and witness, but that is the form that this resistance is taking during this time.
So we've been at it for a while. Happy to talk longer. Maybe some final anecdotes or thoughts that each of you want to say, things we have neglected to get into. Victoria or Jessica?
Well, I echo what Mark said about the artists and how often in our human history, artists have led the way with their humor, with their creative talent, with colors, with representations. I know that one of the most wonderful photographs of our trip is at one of the horrifying walls that are like 13 feet high and 6 feet thick and separate Palestinian villages from their beloved 1,000-year-old olive trees. And on the Palestinian side are these beautiful murals. But one in particular stands out, and I think Mark might have taken this photograph of a little Palestinian boy looking up over the wall, little caricature, little cartoon, looking up over the wall saying, "I want my ball back." So there is that deep, personal, human, childlike faith, hope in the people that we met, who find ways that I don't think I could as a human, to keep their land runs through their veins every bit as much as their blood does. And they would rather spill their blood to fertilize the land than leave the blood that is their land. And we could go on, we could talk to you for hours, Dan. We could talk to you for hours and tell the stories and what we saw. I would say this. I didn't think I could go on a delegation to Palestine. Who, me? If you can go, you must go. Just take a breath and let that sink in. The most important thing anyone can do right now is to bear witness, as we did, to what is actually going on in Palestine, and then come back and talk about it. Second to that, I would say, and maybe Jessica and Mark have an opinion also, would be to look at your own investments. Now, not everybody handles their own investments, but if you have investments, maybe somebody handles them for you. You can talk with them. But I had somebody come up to me at a meeting recently, did not even know her, had never met her. But she said, I want you to know that something you said changed my life. I had apparently been at a film screening about 2 weeks before we left. And when the technology needed a little help and we were talking amongst ourselves, for some reason I just said, you know, folks, something we could each do right now is get involved in boycotts, divestments, and sanctions. And the easiest for most of us is to look at what we're invested in. And if we are invested in war machines, if we are invested in companies that profit by supporting Israel's occupation of Palestine, then that can easily be dealt with. He said, I went home that night, I looked into my own investments, I was horrified at what I didn't know I had invested in. I took some of my money, I took it out, I bought a house, good investment, and I'm renting that house to a family that needs an affordable place to live. And she said, I am so delighted with how this has turned out that my goal for 2026 is to get people of means like myself to do exactly the same. I want to start a movement of people doing this. And I was gobsmacked. I was thrilled. So you never know when you say something, what impact it might have, or when you do something, what impact it might have that will help someone else to show up, make a change, to feel like they want to be part of the solution and they're going to do something.
Okay. Jessica, maybe give you the last word. Are there more trips planned, or if people do want to do what Victoria suggests and be bear witness, what can they do?
Friends of Sabeel North America continues to host delegations, sometimes 2 to 4 delegations a month even, and you meet different parts of their staff. But I cannot stress enough how we heard from everybody to please come and see. Tent of Nations is a more well-known farm that has been holding on to their land that they have stewarded for generations, with a famous motto of, we refuse to be enemies, we refuse to be victims, and they stay in Bethlehem, right outside Bethlehem, despite everything. They teach us about always with faith, hope, and love. So that's the foundation of everything they do. And right now, international presence is the only thing that offers them even a semblance of protection. And when we were at Tent of Nations this time in particular, there were about 8 different internationals from quite a few different countries who were there, some for a week, some for a longer time. And one of them in particular, an older German woman, said that she was influenced to go by everyone who kept saying it was dangerous to come. She said that when the NIS in Germany was in power in the 70s and the mafia was in power in the 70s in Germany, everybody said it was dangerous to come, but people still came. Okay. It also was really upset that on the media in Germany that people will not talk about Palestine, and that's part of her way to be there. But throughout Palestine, I'm again just struck by the heroism of the Palestinians committed to nonviolence. I will never have to prove my love for neighbor the way they do, by existing, by choosing nonviolence, also known as creative stubbornness, finding ways to live and keep living, and to love and to build and to farm and to harvest their olives in such extreme conditions, especially where we're told as Americans you cannot be neutral because you are funding this. And I have conversations with priests and Catholics from around the world. It is the same. As America, we are the most important country to move. We cannot let our taxpayer dollars continue to make possible genocide in Gaza, slow genocide in the West Bank, and apartheid.
Thank you all for speaking with me.
Thank you so much,
Stanley.
Dan, for having
you,
us.
Stan. Thank you for Mick.
Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine.
Free Palestine. Basically, part of the program of Israel, of the Israeli government is, and as it was described colloquially, or in the local, some of the local folks described it as they're trying to build, a Disney World Bible on a graveyard. That's sort of the plan. So part of this is conjuring up all this propaganda based on archaeology, and so they use archaeological digs or they did back then anyway, as a pretext for demolishing people's homes and taking them by eminent domain.
That's our program for today. See you next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller for the Struggle Video News.